Awesome.
Cool.
So, welcome
Cool.
people to the second podcast of the CMGT sectional course. Today we have three new people that most of you probably have never seen. Maybe I think you've all seen Yuri at some point, but since he's new, so
Hello.
I suggested we start with a small round of introduction, starting on the left side. So I'm going to say, Yuri, maybe you can give us a small rundown of who you are and what you do.
A small rundown. Well, pleased to meet you. My name is Yuri Constance. I'm a teacher at CMGT. I started on the 16th of March 2020. So not a whole lot of physical education so far. And if you're in the higher years, you may not have met me yet, but I'm teaching in all 4 years, basically. So pleased to meet you.
Cool.
Anything else you want to know about me?
What do you teach?
What I teach?
Yeah.
I wonder that every day. Yes. No, but seriously, I teach mostly in the pro line, meaning communication, personal branding, professional orientation, personal portfolio in the second year. I'm involved with the internships, the minor immersive media, IMTNS module, or triple S, what it used to be called.
No. It was not.
Graduation.
It's a different thing. It's not SSS.
Okay.
We don't talk about it anymore.
Oh, is that a topic I should have avoided?
Do you think that makes us forget the trauma from it? No.
I was not briefed on this, all right? I should be briefed. And I do a lot of study coaching.
Awesome. Thank you. So, Lucia, or Lucy, what's it called you, Lucy? A little bit easier.
Whatever. I really don't have a preference. Yeah, Lucy is fine. So I'm currently doing my graduation. I'm a fourth year student. I did art for 4 years, but now I'm doing my graduation as a producer. So I guess I do both those things. And maybe some of you, if there are any first years here, maybe some of you know me from the concept art lecture that I gave a while ago. I also did that.
I know.
Yeah, it was a lot of good compliments about that lecture.
Yeah. Yep. A lot of positive feedback.
Yes, it made me very happy.
Yeah.
Great.
That lecture was just me trying to squeeze to just like cram as many memes as possible into one lecture. I learned from the best, Mark.
Yes.
But that's how
Awesome.
you do teaching nowadays, right? You have to talk their language.
Yeah.
Memes are the best thing to actually talk about. So thank you. And then, of course, we have our last guest all the way from El Salvador. I don't know if he's there right now. Probably not. But
No, I'm not. I'm in The Hague. Hello, I'm Rodrigo Sanchez. I graduated last year around July, and I'm working as a programmer in Paladin Studios, The Hague.
awesome.
That's about me.
Awesome. So
Great.
yeah. So what do we do in the company besides? I mean, programming. It's a really big word. So what do you do specifically?
Yeah, so for the most part, I've been working on the Tamagotchi team, MTF, or My Tamagotchi Forever for Bandai Namco. And at the moment, I'm one of the two programmers in the project. So if you see something going wrong in that game, it's probably my fault.
Hey, Rodrigo, can you tell us the ratio of Stack Overflow usage you have in a daily base?
Not that much, actually.
Don't attack him like that.
Oh man,
You was educated well.
that's a good professional.
Well, my Stack Overflow has tended to be just asking the other guys what is going on here, because the game is, I think, 3 or 4 years old now.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big base to it. I didn't enter, or I entered after, and it's a lot to understand in there. So half my time just goes into fixing things or figuring out what is this? How does it work?
And it's hard to find those answers in Stack Overflow. I got it.
Really
That's what
is.
you meant. Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, and of
Great.
course, Evans and I are known by now.
Hopefully.
Hopefully,
Are you?
I hope so. We don't have to go through it again. But maybe we have some new people watching. So maybe Evans can do really quick.
Really quick. I'm a teacher at Saxion. Bye.
Me too.
Does
Nice.
that mean you're leaving?
What?
Wow, already? I mean, you're saying bye. Does that mean you're leaving? You're retiring already?
I
He's-
don't know.
he's
I'll
rich.
just keep it open. Let's keep it open. We don't
I
need-
understand. If
Give
I
me
was
a
a teacher at
summer.
Saxion, I would also want to retire after like 2 years.
No.
Wow.
No,
Wow.
I'm actually
And
going to my
what's the
fourth
reason for
year.
that, Lucia? I wonder.
Hmm?
Here comes the former HR guy asking you what's the particular reason you think you would want to quit teaching after 2 years?
Politically correct.
Just to get
Politically
to
correct
teach
answer.
people brilliant minds like
Politically correct
yours.
answer. I mean, there are benefits, of course, but I just get too attached to the students actually learning and making an effort, and sometimes they don't, and it hurts me personally.
Yes, okay.
No, but that's something you have to understand that, like, for instance, how I see it, I try my best, and then I try to help them the best I can. After that, it's up to them. If they're gonna show up for the assignment or not, it's not on me. I made it hard enough.
You know what I do, Lucia? I tell them I like all these students equally. And if they fail this class, then they get to do it again next year. And I get the opportunity to teach them again. So for me, it's a win situation. That usually scares them, and then they'll pay attention.
It's a matter of perspective, right?
Yeah, positive thinking, positive mind. That will keep you going. Nah, cool. So today we actually have 4 topics. Well, let's say 2.5 topics, 3.5 topics. So internships, graduation, and ECTS, or European Credit Transfer System. I think that's what it's called for. And of course, the last one, the most interesting topic, or maybe for the first and second years, is grading and how we grade, and how it actually works in the background. But I think we should start with the internships. Now, Lucia, and of course our guest, you've all done your internship. So I'm really curious, right? Where did you do your internship? Because I know where you did it, Lucia, but maybe we can get an idea of the internship from Rodrigo. Maybe where did you do your internship?
Yeah, so for me, it's pretty easy. My say path on the 4th year, I can delay my internship. Yeah, I just delayed my internship. I did SSS and I did the minor back then when those two were in during the 3rd year because I needed time to prepare my stuff and apply. I still didn't end up applying to many places because I'm only to blame myself, but I got pretty lucky. My full 4th year I spent at Plugin Studios. I did my internship and then my graduation, and now I'm there.
So you got stuck. Yeah, you got stuck there, and now you have. Oh, that's actually perfect. Yeah, I mean that's awesome, right? That is a way to get into the actual industry.
It really is.
Internship. Yeah, awesome. And Lucy, of course, you did it again up also. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about what you did there.
Well, I mostly went there because at the time, I didn't want to move to another city. And back then we didn't have Corona, so we didn't have remote working. And I was poor and I couldn't afford to move to the west of the Netherlands because it's expensive.
Most honest answer you can give.
Can confirm it is.
That's the truth,
It is way more expensive.
Yeah, and true. When I did that internship, honestly, I just wanted to get it over with. So.
Wow, positive. So one thing that I hear a lot from students, especially in the 3rd year who are doing a minor, is that they're a bit scared of doing the internship. There's just like
applying,
this, applying even, but also just doing it right because you have to be social, you have to be in a company, you have to like talk to people, interact with people.
But you do that at school already.
Yeah, but it's different, right? That's just different. So, what would you say to people who are scared of their internship? One of you two.
Just get over it. I know that doesn't really help, but you're going to be doing that for the rest of your life, basically. And regardless of how we all feel about, the futility of working until you die in capitalism and all of that, right?
Oh, we're getting into that today?
No, not today. But you still will be working for a very long time afterwards. And school already gives you, honestly, so many opportunities to take it up an extra notch with being professional through the projects, because we have so many projects. And most internships will feel kind of like that, but a bit more put together, ideally, if your company isn't a complete mess. They should feel more put together than the student projects. But you still work in a project-based way. You still work with a team. You still talk to them every day. So, it's not that scary. We're all people. Just because they're professionals and they have like a couple more years of experience on you doesn't make them scary.
Lucia, shall I let you in on a secret? You know what the reason is we designed this curriculum this way? Because it's supposed to prepare you for the industry. So
Makes you think, right?
So, and I've been noticing it with the first year students, right? We try to jam the design thinking method down their throats, and they're like, we just want to make cool stuff. Yes, I understand, but please do it in the way that we're trying to prescribe you. And we won't mind if you don't get it right the first time around, but after 4 terms, you should get it right. And the reason we do this is because this is the way people work in the industry, and they may not call it design thinking. They may not say, I'm empathizing right now, or I'm defining, ideating, whatever. But they have exactly the same type of methods. And if you practice this for 4 years in a multidisciplinary, semi-autonomous team, this is basically what you do afterwards as well.
Yep. But I think that, when first years come in, they don't really know anything other than design thinking. They can't even comprehend the fact that this is actually widely applicable to a wide range of things that happen in the industry. So they're like, oh, this is just some research bullshit that we won't actually ever use, which is not entirely true. Yeah, you won't call it like that. And most of the time, I don't think research is taken that seriously, at least in startups in the game industry. But it's useful.
But the successful companies, they took it seriously. And that's why they became successful, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, indeed. And also, like, one thing I see often some discussions about, especially in our field, and it's also more towards programming also, like if it is worth going to school to learn those things, because you have so many courses online. And one of the benefits of going to school is actually having this environment in which you can be trying with a group of people and practicing that before you just open your face to be slapped in the industry out there.
Yep. Can I just give an example case here that applies to, I think, artists and designers specifically? So I hear often, that you could probably just not, if you stayed at home and just worked your ass for 12 hours a day and watched YouTube tutorials, you could probably learn the same stuff that school teaches you about 3D modeling and so forth, which is true. Yeah, you could. But it doesn't actually, so sitting in your room all day doesn't really give you any opportunity to build up your soft skills. And that sounds like, why do you even need that? Because they're transferable, they're widely transferable. If you can do 3D, there are some technical things you can do in the industry, sure, and in adjacent entertainment industries, and in architecture, visualization, and so forth. But you will probably use those soft skills anywhere, even at your part-time job at a restaurant when you talk to customers. So I know, people, talking, but seriously, like, you will use that, and then it just becomes a matter of, taking out the right things from these 4 years that you did at Saxion, and instead of saying, yeah, I worked with people and I hated it, you can say you learned team leadership, team building.
You learn how to work on a team, yeah.
Yeah, it's also not like you're gonna go. It's good if you become specialized, especially in your industry.
Of course.
But if you just go with really good skills, but the guy doesn't know how to work on a team, it's kind of an ass, or just dysfunctional around the company during interviews and hiring process, and then after, because people can still kick you out, it's much better to work with someone that everyone you work well with. You like working with them. It's a nice person and all.
So
and
one
this is
other
also
thing
skills
that I noticed recently would be when you apply for an internship, usually you have maybe 2 interviews max, like 1, 2, maybe. Usually just 1, from what I've noticed, from what I've heard from other people who got internships. When you apply for jobs, it tends to be a 3-step process. The 3rd interview is usually, are you a psychopath? They just try to get to know you as a person and see if you're like
true, Yuri?
or whatever.
Yeah, Yuri, is that true?
Yuri, is that true?
You as the HR person?
that depends. It depends on what kind
Do
of
you
risk
look like a psychopath?
Hey, well, I'll tell you, psychopaths don't usually look like psychopaths. But, all right. I have experienced this, all right? Hired the wrong people and they turned out to be psychopaths. But honestly, to answer your question, depending on how much you can break basically in the organization. You'll have more interview rounds than if you're just a junior and there's not much that can go wrong, basically. So depending on the risk we're taking with someone, we're having more assessment rounds. We're having practical assessment, role playing. So it's usually 3-4 rounds, maybe even 5.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it's important. I mean, if you hire someone and you're going to pay that person 6,000 euros a month, and
The
he's
dream.
responsible for clients that is bringing in
Where is it again?
euros.
Yeah. Where can I apply?
What, Yuri?
As I was saying, you better be right the first time around.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, when I was hiring interns, I didn't really care about their like who they were as a person, but that like backfired on me
interesting.
hardcore. Right, it
I wonder where
backfired
this
on
is
me.
going.
No,
You didn't care who they were as a person. How did you select them then?
skills,
On
like
what
like
grounds? On skills?
just skill, like purely on skills. Like, what did you do? Show it to me. Okay, this is good enough. I will hire you.
Okay.
At first, right? I did it at first, but that just backfired on me like so hard. And then that I was like, okay, maybe we should like talk first with you. Like, okay, so who are you? What do you do? What are your hobbies? You know, and it's just like maybe like fluff, or but it just gives me an idea of like what kind of person you are, because I've had some really bad interns, not based on skills, but just how they are in the actual company. And there's like
I'm
there's
sorry,
such a
Mark.
it wasn't you, Lucy, but I've so it is actually important, right, to figure out who you are, and soft skills like social skills that we teach you in the first couple of years, they are so important, but they are often like underestimated, I think.
Yeah.
That's funny also. Like recently we just had a CMGT national meeting. So we had a meeting with the other teachers from the other CMG so we could all complain together about the same things. And one of the things one of the things that we're saying there, we kind of started all the meetings there with this thing about, well, we are all discussing about the future, what are we going to be teaching? Should we continue teaching Unity, for instance, or go Unreal? Of course not. But should we do those kind of things? And then they brought up like, yeah, but one of the things that makes more sense and that is transferable, like Lucy said, those soft skills, like if they can communicate, they can do research, those kind of things. And when we start to discuss like, should we start talking about this new technology, like this meta-humans crap? Should we? And if we start to consider that, the first things we think about, we should remove that research module or that communication module, because we feel like it is not technical, so maybe it will not help. But it's kind of the other way around. We should just think more about the soft skills and try to improve them more, because those are the ones that will unlock more things in the future, right?
Yeah.
Plus, consider how many jobs there are in the game industry that aren't just specialized in art, design, or engineering. There are so many in between jobs: community management, production, which is what I do currently. And it's honestly the only reason why I even got into this in the first place is because I had all those school projects to basically transform into something that would make me hireable. Because I did those things, but it was just a matter of recognizing that those things have names and I can put them on my cover letter.
Lucia,
But it's
do you know that with a
legitimately important.
CMGT bachelor, you can also work outside of the video gaming industry?
Yes,
Many
I'm
industries
aware.
that are relevant and also very interesting to work in.
But I like to suffer in this one.
All right.
Yeah.
It's a bit of masochism,
It's your life, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, to add on this thing, it's not just about getting hired and being a junior. In companies, say for me, if I want to go into higher levels, generally, the higher in seniority you are, the more you need people skills, the more you need team management. The more senior you are, the more you're expected to know how to self-manage and just be more autonomous, not seeking help unless you need to. Like,
But
knowing
also
some stuff.
coach your juniors, right? When you get to a team lead level, even as a programmer, you're supposed to be able to help the junior programmers.
Yeah, that's the other part. The more senior you are expected to be helping people, to be kind of assessing how your team is doing, what they need, and seek them out instead of waiting for them to seek you. So all of these things become relevant at any point, really, but definitely more when you're higher up in experience.
So I'm curious, right? Since now you're in fourth year or done, What would you say? What are like the ultimate tips to improve those soft skills besides taking classes? Because those are just classes, but how do you practice? How do you become a better human being? I know this is like a super like meta question, but maybe you have some tips for them for first, second, third years.
I think you really just need to throw yourself out there more. And it's messed up, I know. Socially, I've been terrible. I could not talk with people before. Moving to the Netherlands changed a bunch of things for me.
Mhm.
I had a big barrier with getting into groups. Still do with initiation conversations with people or in getting myself into a group of people and starting something. But before, I could also just not follow really conversations as well. And I just changed because I moved country, because I was alone and doing all of this. I had to do it on my own and get with people. I had to talk to people to get stuff done. And also other things that I into groups personally helped me a bunch to develop these skills, management, social, etc. I started doing DMing for Dungeons and Dragons. And that is a job and a half with a lot of skills that you practice.
Yeah, 1.5. Yeah, I would
Yeah,
say.
yeah. It's creativity. It's talk. A lot of people from our course and our industry know D&D, so you probably have a good idea. But you put a lot of those skills to the test when you're doing that, and you learn through it. But the more you do it, the better you become. That's pretty much it. Even if you're just uncomfortable at the start, just try to do it.
Wow.
Do you think it makes sense when people say they fake it until you make it?
Yeah. We all struggle with imposter syndrome, frankly.
Big imposter
I mean,
syndrome.
maybe you guys don't because you're awesome, but
Thank you.
walking into a company and just acting like you're the scum of the earth will not actually help anybody there. So yeah, I do have to act confident, especially if your job has anything to do with leadership, especially then, because like people are actually looking up to you for things. You're supposed to be the one motivating them. But even as a teammate, right? Like how, and again I hear it a lot in CMGT, we're also self-deprecating. Like every like 5 minutes or so somebody will go like, man, I suck, this sucks, I'm so I'll never be good. But that outlook doesn't really help.
Yeah. And also, like, one thing I think I said it the last time also, like, one thing that I think holds a lot of students back is that this fear of feeling like, oh, no, I'm not good or this is not good, don't allow them to show off those things, get feedback on that, and even get compliments. I had a student also during a minor with me that was very like afraid and unsure about the work. And once the student started to get some feedback, because I kind of forced into like get feedback from people, there was a lot of compliments on that, so it raised a lot of motivation to continue doing on. It was like, yeah, this is actually not that bad. Like, no, and now you know how to improve because you got proper feedback on how to do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm Yuri. I'm curious, right? Since you hire people as well, what?
Not anymore, Mark.
No, yeah, you used to hire in the past, past tense. Could you like spot it when someone was like faking confidence, or
Yes.
did you? Yeah, was it
Yes.
bad or good thing, or did
No,
you
that's
just?
a bad thing. I understand what was being said earlier about fake it till you make it. And that was said in the context of, hey, if you are interviewing for a position of leadership and you're expecting to lead other people,
Mhm.
then you need to have some form of earned authority and confidence. And if you don't have that confidence, then it'll be hard to earn the authority and it'll be hard to lead those people. I get it. If you don't have the confidence, then perhaps you're not ready for this leadership type of role. So if you're faking it, and let's say hypothetically, the people hiring you don't pick up on you faking it, then you'll start this job and you'll be in your trial period. And you'll keep on faking it until you either burn out or you lose a step. You just lose a step and you are basically, right, they are onto you. And next thing you can do is either look for a new job or look for a demotion.
Yeah.
So nobody benefits here. You don't benefit because you're hurting yourself, you're hurting your opportunities and your mental state, basically. And you're also hurting your employer, the people around you working there. So I would strongly suggest against this. As a matter of fact, compare it to hard skills. Compare it to the ability to create art. Well, Lucia, you're a brilliant artist. All right. Let's imagine that you couldn't draw you drew as badly as I draw. All right. You're going in as a concept artist, junior concept artist, and you're faking it. And you're basically stealing other people's work and presenting it as your own. And you're faking your skill set. Obviously, they'll be onto you later. And you're not fooling anyone. And the same would go for anyone else. I'm a brilliant engineer. I copy everything off of Stack Overflow.
Oh, wait.
But that's how it works.
That's actually a thing.
I know.
And this
I-
is
I-
about
I-
knowing what to copy.
Yeah,
exactly.
it's very different with hard skills, I think. And
Yeah.
and you do have a point. That's not actually what I was trying to say, but I probably expressed it wrong as well.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I think there's a big difference between lying on your resume and just trying things out that are not in your comfort zone. In the trying to grow,
Yeah,
how are you going
that's-
to get that confidence and leadership skills if you don't get yourself in those situations?
I agree with you.
Yeah.
You got to look for an environment where you are challenged to experiment
Yep.
and to make those mistakes.
Yep.
And where you
But
are.
still, like I have the feeling, especially from a lot of people saying the kind of fake until you make it, that they can make it. It's more that they have this imposter syndrome that they feel like, no, but I'm not a good artist. Like
Yeah,
I'm
that's-
here at some point they will find out that I'm not that good, but they are, and they continue insisting on that. So they keep. Then maybe I think this mentality of faking until you make it it's kind of positive on them because it kind of forces them into continue there insisting on that because in the end they're doing a good job. I don't know about Yuri, but I also don't have a lot of I can say from my experience, I have a startup in Brazil, so we hire people once in a while. Some people leave, we hire new people, and I don't have many experiences with people really faking it. I remember once that was really like we hired and a couple of days with some discussion about code. We were like, dude, what is this guy talking about? And then, but most of the cases is not like from the interview, from the test, you kind of have an idea of the level. So at least I feel that from my experiences, if we're hiring that person, we know their level. It might be some things about expectation will not go well, but in general, we know what we're getting into.
Yeah, and
You
when
know
that
what's-
also, you
It's a difficult situation in this industry. How we label people for a particular level. We all have an idea what a junior is, right? Someone who just left his education has perhaps about a year of experience. And then you get media and senior, right? But this is all within a context. And the problem is if you think that you're a senior in your context and you're applying for a senior position at a different company, their idea of what a senior is may be entirely different from your own context. And as a result of this difficulty, I distinctly remember assessing candidates for particular positions, for media and senior positions, who were very badly equipped. They could hardly match up with the interns working in the company that I was working in.
Good
It's
people,
not
good
their
people.
fault. Honestly, I'm not blaming them.
No, he's right.
The reason is the way of working at their former employer was just entirely different from what we were expecting of them with us. So it's very difficult. It's very difficult.
But isn't this also the reason why most companies have tests, be it art tests and tests for engineering skills? So
Exactly.
that you can like fill out, okay, you have no idea what you're doing, goodbye. And those who actually pass the test or do okay, they actually get invited.
Yes.
Yeah, but
We try to do those tests. The problem is with the shortage of skilled IT staff. I understand that any software engineer looking for a job, not feeling like doing a coding test, will get another opportunity somewhere else. So I understand the situation.
Yeah. And I also feel like art tests, especially art tests, they often feel like free labor.
Yeah,
Like,
they
yeah,
do.
just do this for us, right? Yeah, just take like 2 weeks to do this for us. I'm
Full
like,
time.
yeah, full time, and they're like, really?
That's not cool. That's not
It's
cool.
like no, but it is
It's
common, right? It's really common. I'm like, that's just like
Well,
taking advantage.
here's a tip for all aspiring entrepreneurs who want to set up recruiting pipelines, right? And they want to know how to assess candidates. If you make an assessment, try to create it in a way that it is a sort of an accurate representation of what the full job will entail. If this person is only creating art assets, then let this person create art assets. Try not to waste that person's time. And if you need more than half a day to assess the quality of someone's work, you may want to rethink how you test that person's work.
That should be the same thing for the assignments.
Yeah.
But that's
hardcore, but-
different.
I've been
fully
fighting for
understand.
this.
I mean,
I've been fighting for
if
this.
in half a day I don't know what the quality of your work is, then either you didn't get started yet, and then I know that you're too lazy to start, or right. Anyway, to get back on topic, if you're creating a task for someone to complete, so you can assess a person's quality, then make sure this task is representative of what the actual tasks will be, but not an actual task, because then it's free labor.
Yeah.
Not an actual task. So let this person create a fake website, or let him make a particular item for a non-existent game, or right. And please do not waste the candidate's time, because they try not to waste your time as a hiring manager.
Yeah, I think it's a very valid point, because I see it too often, and it's like you're just taking advantage of like new people, like people who just left study, who just finished. Like, yeah, we'll just like make you do a test that's going to take 2 weeks, 40 hours a week. I'm like, wow, that's just really not cool.
Yeah, it happens. But at the same time, it's a very a common way of selecting people, and it's a necessary way of selecting people,
Of course.
because there are too many fakers in the industry.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but just keep it fair for all parties involved.
Yeah.
Just keep it fair so that it doesn't.
You know what's
take like 2 weeks.
another upside for a candidate? If you get to do this type of assessment, I try not to call it a test, by the way, because then it looks like an exam at school.
How do you call it?
Well, actually, let me just think of what I'd call it in English, because I have a Dutch word for it, but hang on.
What's it in Dutch? Maybe
No
the,
one's gonna
Meloopdag.
understand.
It's called a meeloopdag in Dutch.
taster day.
That
Yeah,
sounds great. That sounds great.
We call it a taster day nowadays.
And it's a taster day. You get to taste all the flavors that your potential future employer has to offer, right? Now, what you get to do, now, I'll get to you in a second, Evans.
Yeah.
These assessments we created were aimed at providing these candidates an accurate overview of what it would be like to work with us. So we get to check them out while they get to check us out. And it would usually be like half a day, 6 hours max. And at the end, we'll let you know immediately if you get to go on to the next round or not.
My turn. I think this is something that would see like a beautiful post on LinkedIn, completely trashed out on Twitter. Like, this is unfair. And then on LinkedIn, everyone's like, awesome. That's how you work. Lucy?
No, I have nothing to add.
Go ahead.
No, it's basically, yeah. Well, it does sound like a great idea in theory.
Yeah, like I mean,
it works. It works out very well in practice as well.
I do believe so, because of the reasons we already mentioned, the C word. But for instance, I see this very often also, this kind of things on LinkedIn. You have some people really struggling to kind of show something, and you have some people saying, like, you see, this old lady, 100 years old, came by to show her CV. She's the one to work, and they glorify this. And when you see on Twitter, people are like, what the hell? That is a 100-old lady that needs to be looking for work now? What type of world are we living? Come on. I think it's a similar. I understand, like, because I've been through this. You have to kind of assess the person that is applying for the job to figure out, okay, will that person work? Like, will they be able to do what we expect from them? But at the same time, I don't know. Using those terms is a little bit odd. That's again, this is all our individual opinion. This does not represent section
It may
or
be
CMGT.
representative of your experiences, but then perhaps you were applying with the wrong company.
Yeah.
Because if, as an employee, you can't offer an enjoyable experience during the recruiting and selection phase, then you know, how will you be as an actual employer later? Even if you have a selection phase and you end up not selecting this candidate, right? You're rejecting this candidate after 3 or 4 rounds, and you have all kinds of reasoning. But that candidate should still feel like, hey, this is the best place I'd ever work at, because this candidate has friends, right? And if this candidate talks badly about me as an employer, then I'm basically breaking down more than I was building up with my recruiting budget.
So now
I'm saying is rejecting people is a way of recruiting more people.
Your HR past is really shining through, and I know what you mean. And like from a business standpoint, you're entirely correct. I support this, but from an ethical standpoint, well, the whole.
Well, please enlighten me.
I think we went from LinkedIn to Twitter, and now this is Tinder.
This is taking a ride.
I would really like to compare job interviews to blind dates.
But it does make sense, right? Because it is, if the person sees that it's a horrible company, they will tell their friends. But
yes.
if it's like, yeah, it was actually kind of fun. I mean, I didn't get a job, so be it. But it was actually a awesome company because I got free food, free water because they're cheap. Maybe some cola here and there. And that
if they just make you feel like a good human being.
Yeah.
There's a couple people working there right now who were referred to that company by their friends, and those friends were the people we rejected in an earlier stage.
Yeah.
So, well, it almost sounds like you want to reject people so you can get new people. I'm saying be very mindful about the way you treat people, particularly in recruiting. Well, anyway. Any people, you got to treat people right.
That's a good advice.
Good advice.
I agree.
That's a good ethical advice.
Let's move on from the internship now to 1 year later when you're doing your actual graduation. For those people who don't know, right, that's your second internship. You can see it as a second internship where again you work in a company. If it wasn't COVID time. You actually work in a company and then you actually research a certain topic. So the company has a problem, like we want to do this, but we don't know how to. Please, you would help us figure this problem out. And then you do research on it. And then, of course, you pass with flying colors. You get a 9.
Oh, man, you're skipping a lot of steps. I hope this is
a lot of steps.
Don't take notes on this.
I'm skipping a lot of steps.
You graduate, have a family,
and a dog, and
because soon they will start saying, "What about the APA part? Like, do we still have to do that?"
Oh my god! Unfortunately, that's still there. Unfortunately, some things never change.
Maybe a good place to start with it is what are the difference between the internship and the graduation? A lot of students,
don't know.
Don't know.
Fair. So correct.
Yeah. So internship is for the most part, you just go there and you do work normal as if you're in the company for a while and people teach you stuff, ideally.
Yeah.
During graduation, you're technically not supposed to be working, or at least not so much for a company. The idea is that you talk with someone, you figure out a company that it's a problem or this thing that they want to improve on, or something. Oftentimes you're the one who has to pitch it. Like, hey, I see that you don't have anything in the realm of HR. I don't know, automated testing, HR, and you say, can we work something out? I want to do my graduation in your company, and maybe I can spend some time looking into this for you, or with you. And the idea with a graduation is that you spend, I think the most that you should be doing is 60% graduation, 40% work. Ideally less work than that, and trust me, you will need it because it sucks.
Depending on topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Normally you will be varying the time per week that you spend on graduation and on the company. At the start you will be spending more time doing company stuff. At the end, more graduation stuff.
Yeah, I think the key aspect on the graduation is the problem. And I think a lot of students get this wrong. Is you have to understand what is the company problem. I see a lot of people saying things like, oh, the problem is the company does not have automated testing. This is not a problem. There's the same that you wouldn't say, but some people will complain, but you don't say my problem is I don't have pizza. Like your problem is probably that you're hungry. That's the problem. And getting pizza is a way of solving it. So when you say they don't have automated testing, then you can understand why don't they, and what would this solve? It could be that they take too much in the testing iterations they do. It takes too long to create a new build. That's when you figure out like, hey, this is a problem. They take too much to iterate and make a build. Now you think about possible solutions. One of them could be automate testing or automate the building process. And then with this, and I saw someone in the chat saying, what is the difference about just doing research and reading stuff? The thing is, since you have the problem, you're trying to solve it and trying to come up with possible solutions. And some of those solutions, you just imagine like, why don't we just do this? You're going to figure out that there is some sort of knowledge gap. There is something we don't know, either how to implement that or how to implement that to the specific case in the company. So then you're reading stuff as you're trying to fill in that knowledge gap. That's the difference. If you're just reading a book about D&D just to have fun for entertainment, that's just reading stuff. If you're trying to solve a knowledge gap, if you're trying to understand something so you can solve that and build upon that to create your solution, that's doing research. But this goes a little deeper. And I had other discussion with other colleagues about that because I was a little bit annoyed about, for instance, discussing meta-humans as research, because for me it is not. It's using a tool, but well.
Can I get one question from the chat?
Yes.
Somebody was asking about what types of graduation projects can artists do.
I want to do the same. I want to do exactly the same question.
Okay.
Go ahead, Lucy.
Do you want to go ahead?
No. You have dibs,
I'm not
so
even doing my graduation as an artist.
No, it's fine.
But well, first of all, it really kind of depends on the company where you go to, because yes, ideally, what happens is what people just described right now happens. You find a problem, you solve it, whatever. But I do have some friends who went to, well, especially the people that I know who went into AAA, it's a bit hard to go into a AAA company and pitch that you can solve a problem with their pipeline on the art side, you know?
Yeah, good luck. Yeah.
So you really have to adjust your scope, right? As an artist, it also strongly depends on the type of artist that you are. If you're a concept artist, you can probably do something related to the art style of one of their projects. Maybe you can slightly improve it to better fit the target audience of that game or whatever they're working on. If it's a smaller game for a specific client, especially if it's a serious game, you can really go and do first-hand research. If it's a game for I don't know, for kids at some school, you can go and see what those kids at that school like. So then you just pitch that to the company, like, hey, we can do this and this and this to make the style better. No. If you do 3D, you can, again, really adjust your scope. Say you're in a big company, you're in a AAA company, they're not going to change your style for you. They're not going to change their tools or their pipeline. So you can pick something smaller, like, hey, what about the junior artists who come into this company and they have no idea how to actually, start using all these tools? Maybe you can improve that process a little bit. Like, it's not directly making art, but you do make art as part of it, as part of your
I can actually give some examples.
Please.
So for the artists, at least then, because I can only talk for the artists, maybe also a little bit designers, but we have people looking into how to optimize meshes for AR, for VR, how to speed up the process of creating decals for environmental storytelling, and how to generate foliage in a efficient manner. So it's really usually right. It's a bit more technical, and one of the pitfalls that I see, I think even as well, is like that the company wants something, so they want to have more beautiful artists, but wanting is not a problem. That's a desire, and that's where things go wrong quite often. It's like, yeah, they want me to do this, so I'll just do it. Like, wait, that's just a desire from the company, and that's not the actual problem. So it actually takes a little bit more thought behind it than just like, I'm gonna make models.
Yeah, and also makes the report so weak. Like I've complained about some students also that they phrase a report like the company wants me to do this. So then this report is about me doing this. The problem is that the company wanted me to do this. I read reports in which said, and then the main research question is how can I do this to make the company happy and section allow me to graduate? I read
Yeah.
this as a research question.
Yeah.
So
You
yeah.
But it's a
It's-
difficult
it's a-
situation, you know.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation, and I know that students also feel very torn about it. As in,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, the research part is incredibly valuable. Yes, we're getting a bachelor's. Yes, we need to write a paper. I understand. But also realistically, it's a bit difficult, especially if your company is some high-profile place, that's your dream place where you want to work at. It's a bit difficult to walk up to them and be like, hey, these are my school's requirements and they're infinitely more important than what you're going to want me to do there.
No,
I mean,
but
of course,
May I speak from my experience in this industry?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go for it.
All right. When a company asks you to do a particular thing and you say that's a problem, like Mark said, no, that's not a problem, that's a desire. So
Yeah.
it's your job as a graduate student to find out what the actual problem is
Yeah.
and what an actual solution to this problem may be. And it may be something entirely different from what the company thought they needed. Now I
But-
understand that as an intern, you may not have the confidence
no,
to
not only
take
that,
this employer on this journey. And
but
at the
it's
same
not just
time,
about that. What if they just don't want an intern who's going to basically do their graduation project at their company? What if they want an intern who's going to work for them and they're going to teach them skills and they're then going to hire them?
then they should hire an intern, another graduation student.
That
Yeah,
is
I understand
exactly the
what-
problem with finding a graduation internship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And that's
so
why I would propose the
there's a
following.
big struggle. But for instance, from what I said, it's just how you phrase it. Like you can be doing that. Like if you have the problem and the things, you just don't need to say it like, oh, the company wants me to do that. You can just say it based on the problem. The company has this problem. This report is about solving this problem. There's a knowledge gap. You don't have to be saying it as if you're just another intern,
Yes.
just doing what you're being told. Like
Yeah.
it's
Semantics.
phrasing.
Yeah. it's
Just
just
express it
semantics.
differently.
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
expected to make these decisions after you graduate, and you're working for clients, and clients have desires too. They'll like you more if you help them understand that these desires are not the actual problems we're trying to solve. They don't pay you for a tool, they pay you for a solution to a problem.
Yeah, and sometimes they don't even know the problem. Like it's very common for
Well,
research.
most of the
that when-
times they don't know what a
Yeah.
problem is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't know what even a problem is. They're users.
That's why
like
they
the
hire
clients.
us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fun. So I mean,
Oh, wait.
that's like one part, right? Sorry.
I think
Did,
Lucy has
did
gone.
Lucy did Lucy
Oh.
disconnect it?
Think
Oh, I think
Does
she
he
died.
die?
Is she still in the room? Oh, I think she probably. She'll be back.
She'll be back.
She'll be back.
maybe
She'll be
hopefully.
back.
She's gonna take a look at their graduation report now with the comments.
like,
Like,
shit,
oh, man.
panicking.
Oh, wow,
I should
wow.
change everything. No, she'll be back.
There she is. Welcome back.
Hey.
Need to fix it real fast. Oh god, there it is. Let me just put this back in. Hello.
Hello. Okay.
1 second. And
Welcome back,
she
though.
is back. Welcome back.
Cool. Thank you. Sorry.
That happens. No, so I mean that's like one part, right, of the entire process. But the other part as well, that's the fun part that everybody enjoys so much, and it's actually writing your thesis,
Being
APA style.
sarcastic.
I'm being
That's
very
Very,
sarcastic.
very.
That's what everyone tells me. Like I'm in love with doing this. Can I just write more? Can I deliver a 200 pages report? No, you have a limit of 25 pages. Abstract does not count. Cover page does not count. And images themselves don't count. So usually I do the Alejandro method. I count backwards on the image to figure out like if you are about 25 pages. Please don't submit a 50-page report.
I wish you could just give a word limit instead. It would be so much easier for everybody.
I agree.
No,
There is a word limit as well, I think.
technically we could do that. I'm not sure how easy it would be to check, to be completely honest.
You select the text in Word, and then it tells you how many words there are in the
No,
selection.
That's one thing. One thing. If a student wants me to take a look at their text, please send me a PDF because I hate opening up Word
Oh,
just to
really?
export it to PDF. Yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
It sounds like we have a problem that needs solving. Can we get a graduate student for this?
Yeah.
No, but I mean, we have a limit, right? For like two reasons. A, just not to like bore us to death with like Bibles of like 100 pages, but also, right, because it forces you to actually think about what you're writing. So
Yeah.
it's not about fluff. It's like just
That's what
actual
it is about.
content, information density. I love that word. That's the key, right? So because sometimes I just like read something. And it's like, yeah, this could possibly be it, but also not. I'm not entirely sure. Blah blah blah. It's like, so the answer is no. Why don't you just say no? It's not possible. It's just
Yeah.
fluff, and that makes our life so much more difficult. So like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? So
It's
that's
more
why
difficult to write 25 pages than 250.
yeah.
But the
I
thing is,
agree.
I also feel depending on how much the student knows about what he's talking about, they also tend to inflate and write so much because they don't feel confident, and so they have to use fancy words. They have to use in order to every time. So instead of just saying to, they say in order to
And
inflate the
therefore-
text. Yeah, therefore,
There was
in order
something
to.
in the chat earlier that also made me think about this, and
Yeah.
it was basically about how at some point during projects, basically the conversation degrades from actually useful feedback back and forth to just and word vomit everywhere. I get it.
Word
I get that it
vomit,
happens,
okay.
but I don't know.
I
It's
get
it's
it.
it's difficult to be concise with how you
It is
write, how
yeah.
you present, how you speak.
Yeah.
But it's important.
Yeah,
And it's insanely difficult to
Yeah.
write a graduation paper.
Yeah.
it is.
Like
I
I saw.
understand why these students are struggling.
Yeah. No, for sure.
And
For
I'm,
sure.
I'm
Like
one
I
of those weirdos who enjoyed the process of graduation, so that's why I wrote two
Ooh.
papers.
Questionable.
It is, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It is.
Like
but yeah, I feel for these students.
yeah, what I try to do with the students that during the graduation for me, and also I recorded a lecture on that. Then I posted on Discord. So if you want to see it, like how can I do
Who's
this
dying?
process? Oh, I live near the hospital.
Oh, that explains
Let's wait.
everything.
Let's wait.
One of the people who have their deadline on Tuesday is probably dying, you know.
Yeah, Tuesday's the deadline for the ending. So
Yeah, that's not fun, doesn't it?
I don't want to say that I actually don't think it's that hard to write the paper, but I haven't gotten my grade yet, so I don't wanna
Don't
jinx it.
jinx it. Don't
Yeah,
jinx it.
don't jinx it. Don't jinx it. No, but I saw someone commenting also because some students have the tendency of do a diary-like writing. So
Yeah.
I think the best approach to that is like you want to read it like as a reader, you want to read it as some sort of tutorial that tells you what to do and how that was solved. You don't want to write it as a romance or a novel
The
that says
diary.
like, I first thought about this and then I did this and then I was like, no way, I cannot do this. But this happens very often.
It's often,
that
yeah.
they tell it as a story of how they did it. No. You want to read it as a tutorial that's saying like this, do this,
and then
this,
and
do this,
then and then and then I
about-
did and then I did and then I did and then
They
I did.
start the introduction by introducing themselves. Hi, my name is Yuri Constanza, and in this paper I will. Come on,
Yeah,
man.
talk about HR. No, and
Yeah.
also the other thing that gets me so much is that sometimes they do this and they forget to write the actual information. So it's very common to have sentences that do like. So then I found out that Unity does not really allow to open these types of file. Then I did some research and fixed it. Like, wait, what? So how did you fix that?
Right.
There's no reference. There's no explanation.
Yeah.
Even the problem that was found is really like, okay.
Yeah.
But then they just skip it. It's like, dude, tell me what you did then. And then the rest of the tests continue to be like that. That's very, very common.
Yeah, and
That said, it can be pretty useful to have some sort of, like, don't make your paper like a diary, but it is good to have some sort of diary or journal of what you've been doing. A lot of people, not to include myself in it, but I include myself in it, don't write the report constantly. You kind of let the deadline creep on you, and then I have to write a lot, and then you don't remember what you did for a quick couple of weeks. So if you just even if you write a couple notes per week on what you did, it's great to go back on that. Then you have some dates as well. It's great for the report.
Please, there is also the second method, which I do not recommend, but it works for me. I don't write anything for a month, then I pull 3 all-nighters in a row, and progress happens.
Bad advice, people. Bad advice. Don't listen to Lucy. Don't listen to Lucy.
Yeah.
It can't work though.
The worst.
It works.
But the problem with this is that, of course, it depends on your graduation coach and the frequency you get feedback. But if you do that, then you run the risk of not getting the feedback you need that will point out the main problem.
Yeah. That's what I noticed as well. So I didn't wait until the end to pull those all-nighters, but I did it right before the moment where I needed to get that feedback. First draft, and also after the first draft and up to now, there were a lot of feedback moments with my company, so I actually had to get my stuff together so I could get that feedback, so I could then write about it.
Yeah. So
same here.
I'm actually curious because you've both done it or are doing it. What do you think the purpose is of doing the research paper?
That's a good question.
So
awkward silence.
The purpose of the assignment, with finding a problem and solving it through research and whatever, it's applying everything that we were supposed to be taught during the past 4 years, except for me because I did the old course, so I didn't have any of those research courses, and I had to cram everything into my head in the 4th year. But that's not your fault. That's my own fault, I think.
Okay, let's make that clear. Okay.
Well, I mean, the course just changed, so I think now it actually makes sense because they, students learn about that design thinking stuff in their 1st year, or something. Don't know. But the other part of it is, well, it actually teaches you problem solving, and then you kind of use that later on when you work for clients, because like Yuri said earlier, that's kind of the process. Even if your clients are going to be internals at your company, like your lead telling you, hey, we need this asset, and make it, you still have to figure out a lot of factors there to actually make a good product. Even if your clients are externals, it's another company or some other guy just coming into your company being like, hey, I want you guys to make me a game, or I want an app. Then you can be like, well, actually, with my big brain and my knowledge that I've accumulated during my graduation, a better solution for you would perhaps be a game and not an app. Stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the point. And sorry, continue.
No, it's better that I don't continue. Go on.
No, because that's exactly the point. For instance, what I try to do with my graduation students is the first meetings we have, we try to discuss a problem, see, are we looking at the right thing? Is this real problem? And also, so when we have the meeting with the client, is like, again, let me understand this. Is this a problem? Like, what we're doing, and also how can we validate this? Because this is very important. Like, okay, so we want to do. We want to see if this is the target audience we like more if we change the art style. So are we going to be able to get to the target audience and get that information? Because if don't, this research is pointless.
That's so important, and not even just in this process, but generally, right? You have to validate a lot of things when you make games. Generally, milestones, builds as you go on, features that you want to ship, you have to test them throughout. And
same for apps,
yeah, same for apps. And in games, I know that, everybody has, well, not everybody, but QA isn't really seen as something that you aspire to do, but it's incredibly important. And that's basically kind of like our testing. It's important that you think about it.
It is exactly like testing, yeah.
It is,
Before, like every time that I was in Saxo, and when I went to a team and there was a dedicated QA person, so it's a life changer. It's amazing. I cannot thank that person enough.
Rodrigo, tell me what you learned about this dedicated QA person. In which ways does this person's personality differ from the other team members?
Personality?
They like to complain a lot, maybe.
No, not necessarily.
That's exactly what I meant. They get on your nerves, And I gotta be careful because a couple of my friends are QA testers. But they think in problems instead of solutions. And we all need these people thinking about problems. They can tell you which problems may occur from just looking at flowcharts. the entire software hasn't been built yet, and they can point out that's going to go wrong, and that will be a security issue, and this is where it will go wrong. And I'm like, come on, man, let's try to look for solutions here. Let's be productive, right? Why you always got to talk us down? But hey, he has a point. So we all need those people on our teams.
Maybe I haven't noticed it because I tend to be somewhat pessimistic when looking at a feature that one can fail.
All right.
That said, the QA person we have in our team right now is very smart, and he's a beast. He's amazing, and he has a bunch of other skills not related to QA. He doesn't complain much. Doesn't complain much about the game. If there's issues, he'll point them out. I don't know. He's very helpful and has gone outside of his realm in QA just to do other things. It's great.
More appreciation for good QA people. We all need more of them.
I love QA people. Yeah.
I love QA people.
That's
Wish I had one.
It's great.
Like, this is something I like to do also when testing students' game. Like, I try to have a little bit of this mindset to help them see like what else can we break. So I love when it's a physics-based game because you can do hell with it. First thing you do is just pick everything, force everything, and they'll be like, no, that's how you play the game. You're gonna break it. Yeah, of course. I want to see this game. That's my point. I want to show you how you can break this.
Yeah.
Don't only change the happy path.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. But also, right? I think it's also pretty fair to assume that most people done with the study will at some point have to like write emails to like clients.
Oh yeah.
And communicate in a orderly fashion. So
reminder: emails are not instant messages on Discord.
No, like yo, what's up? No, you have to like.
I just got an email like that yesterday from a student. They didn't even say yo, what's up. They just started talking, and then they ended. They said press send.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe you do that if you're like 200 emails into a chain.
Yeah,
maybe.
Even then, maybe.
Even then, perhaps. Yes.
Yeah.
But last year, I had this guy for an intake. He's like, "Yo, what's up?" I'm like,
no.
Really? Is this how we start like a formal conversation? Like, hey man, what's up?
He should address you with Mister.
No, don't call Mister. But like, hey Mark,
dear Mr. Section.
Mr.
Give
Section.
money.
All
Give
right.
money. No. It's just a way of thinking, right? That you have to think about what you write.
Think about your target audience. That's also important for our research paper. Exactly. You're not writing for your mom, so you don't need to write your diary, but you're writing for your teachers in an academic context, to use academic language. And same thing when you write emails.
Yeah.
It's really important. It's like your first impression to somebody.
Yeah.
It is.
Someone said in chat that some teachers also need to get that lecture then. It's true.
We know.
I'm also a bit guilty of that as well sometimes, like, yo, what's up? But that's like in the second year, because then I know you can handle it. But first year is like, hello, person X.
Yeah, the more you know people, the more you know how you can talk to them.
Exactly. And that's okay. Right?
But if you're just starting,
even
then...
if you've known a teacher for 4 years, you still, some teachers still prefer to be very formal, and that's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, just give the respect
target
that
audience. Not all teachers are the same.
Yeah.
Indeed.
We be sending hello sir this and that and hoping to figure it out in Quebec. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, that's actually how we communicate as teacher. Yeah, go for it. Instead of like that's actually I'm guilty. I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually really guilty about that. Like
don't feel bad,
I don't.
You're still not you. I meant the person being very formal with their emails, because you have nothing to lose if you're a bit more formal. Better that than somebody to be like, oh, that student was like, yo Mark, what's up? And I was like, why is he writing things like that?
Especially because that email. Yeah, especially because there's yo Mark, what's up? Will come at 9 from Saturday to Sunday, saying the deadline was Thursday. Can I send it again? But can I do the assignment my own way then?
Yo, no.
Hey, it sounds like this podcast is going towards teachers complaining about students.
Not at all.
No, we're trying to tell them.
I can complain about other students who don't feel morally
you can complain all
bad.
you want. We just need to maintain our user-centered design philosophy, and our users are students, right?
Talking audience.
But those things help them learn. Dear
events. Dear Miss Events.
Yeah. Dear Mr. Weird Name Serper, can you help me with this? Git is broken. Git does not work. I've been using source tree. Is this the issue? capitalism is a lie.
Wow.
Wow,
Yeah,
that
the last
escalated
phrase.
quickly. That escalated quickly.
Yeah.
That's great. That's
Uh,
great.
Yeah.
Can I bring
You know, the fact that you just came up with that example on the spot, it shows me that you've probably dealt with that so many times. I'm so sorry. I can imagine.
About Git is very often.
Yeah.
And usually
Git,
it's
yeah.
Austree. And usually it's Austree.
Or your name.
Oh,
Should-
can I
should
just say
we-
while we're on the topic, please, guys, if you do art, that doesn't mean that you don't need to touch version control. I was that
Yeah.
person. I am ashamed of the person that I was. I am sorry for what I did to my programmers. Felix, I know you're here. I'm very sorry.
Hey, should we turn this around for a couple minutes and let them complain about particular teachers without stating names? All right.
Well, they are free to do that
How
in the
about
chat.
teacher behavior that is prevalent?
Go for it. Go for it.
I
We are
think the
ready.
most common complaint is the lack of technical expertise from some teachers. I hear that a
Technical
lot.
expertise. All right.
That's very
Not
PC.
naming
Yeah.
any names. Not naming
No,
any
no,
names.
that's very
Yeah,
How
people
about-
tend to complain. During graduation, you're gonna get also during internship, you're gonna get a graduation internship coach from the one from the company, one from the university. That doesn't mean that you're gonna get, if you're an engineer, a coach who's also an engineer, and they're gonna be the one reading your paper and everything else. So, so that is a complaint that is common.
Yeah.
Because you have to. Your target audience is suddenly someone that doesn't understand what you're doing. So it's difficult to convey that oftentimes.
That is something that we try to do, right? I mean, we do try to match it up, but sometimes we, like right now, we have 124
120
people,
something.
who are doing graduation. It's just like, just
It's
take it all
yeah.
and just good luck, have fun.
Have
and
fun
then-
with the presentations.
No, you can fail some before that.
Yeah,
but-
exactly. No.
But
Wow.
not getting into that detail. Not getting into that detail.
Man, I don't
this.
even mind the presentations. Those are the fun parts.
No, but the thing is, well, it depends. But the thing is, because a lot of students kind of postponed it a little bit up because of Corona, and then we got like this a lot of students at once doing presentation. So we're getting a lot of students doing presentation now.
Last
We
year,
get paid for it.
yeah, but 2 years ago, I had 2 days from 8:30 till 6, non-stop presentations, and by the end, you're just dead. You're just sitting there like, just.
I
pass.
wouldn't want to be the person
now
at
we-
5:30.
Now we're just trying to ask for forgiveness and whatever. And I think the original point from Rodrigo is actually pretty valid.
It is valid. It's 100% valid.
Right?
Yeah.
What he's saying is
100%
we're
valid.
not matching the right teachers to the right graduate
It is-
students.
It's
And this
it's
is a
valid.
problem with basically being incorrectly staffed. And that is a problem that needs to be
Yeah,
addressed.
true.
Yep.
See, this is why we do graduation and design thinking, you guys. See, prime example.
Yeah. No, but that is the point.
Yeah,
but
but
it's
it-
also
it's
difficult. It's very difficult. But also in chat as well, people mentioned that some teachers don't answer emails.
Mm.
That's also
Yeah.
a good one. That's also a
Guilty.
good one. I mean, sometimes
During
it
the
happens.
graduation, that's so not nice.
Yeah, but I mean, sometimes
Yeah.
it happens because we do get spammed sometimes. I mean, especially like week 8, week 9, when deadlines are approaching, we just get hammered. And it does happen sometimes that you forget. You're like, oops, sorry. But it's not something that.
You know what? Actually, just look at it differently. That's actually also preparing you for the real world because that also happens a lot. People not answering
Yeah,
their
it
emails.
does.
And then you find out very creative ways to follow up like 5 times. Then they tell you they had a problem and they all went into spam, which might or might not be true, but
Yeah.
you just learn to live with it.
And then the follow-up question is then, what is best to do in that situation? I mean,
Yeah.
now it's difficult, right? Because we're all at home, but usually at school, you just like go up to him or her, like,
Yep.
hey, I've emailed you.
I welcome you any day.
Yeah, what's up?
Also, I know it's annoying, but while we're still doing the whole COVID thing, just also if they have Discord, message them there. If they have Teams, message them on Teams. Like a DM on Teams is different than an email. They go in different places. So
Yeah.
just try all platforms
Yeah.
with the same message. Don't even change it, whatever.
But of course,
As long
be,
as they see.
Agreed.
be polite. Be polite. Like, hey, man,
Of
what's
course.
up? Why the fuck have you not responded to an email? That's not a good idea. And if
Oh, if they leave you on scene on Teams,
Teams.
man, this is bad. This is
That's-
like,
Oh,
what did you do?
ask a different teacher to
Well-
ask him. It's just
yeah.
But one thing I have to say, like, if you really need me to reply to an email or see something, send me an email. Because if you see Discord or Teams, I might just, while browsing through, maybe take a look at it to reply later and forget. But in my email, I try to flag them. So then I always try to take a look at the flags and go back to them.
Yeah.
So
This is how Evans and I end up with 40 flags on Friday afternoon, right? Yeah, and then
Yeah.
on Monday we go like, purge, let's go next.
Yeah.
purge them. Yeah.
Yeah, but also a good point as well, right? Because the email is a official way of section communication.
Mhm.
So that, of course, that is always the best way to go for
Yep.
email.
Yeah.
And if you don't get it, just email again. I know this
Yeah.
sounds stupid, but just email again.
Ideally,
Too late
you
to respond.
have, if you know the person from beforehand, because I know that if it's your first communication with a teacher during graduation, might not be the easiest time asking that. But if you can ask what's the preferred method of communication to a teacher,
Yeah, ask.
go for that, because then
Yeah.
you know I first approach them through Discord if that's what they what works better.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, then you go for the next one. Then you go for the next one. Then you end up spamming them until they reply to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't Teams also
give up.
an official communication section? I honestly don't know if it's an
We
official
do use that
communication.
for video, for lectures, for
Yeah.
graduation meetings.
sure
I
it
don't
is.
know.
It probably, I'm
I think
pretty
it
sure
is.
it is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
But
Yeah.
it is. But I mean, email is easier to flag and to keep track
And to keep
of.
track,
Keep
yeah.
track of,
yeah.
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 But
And
I mean,
one piece of advice, do
Yeah.
not show up unannounced at the teacher's home. That is a bad idea.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. Don't.
that implies you know where they live.
Don't follow the ambulances.
and don't put my name in Google because you'll find my address. Please don't. I should not probably said that.
Why
Just
don't you
don't-
just-
don't- don't do that.
Uh-oh.
Why?
Oh,
Are
no.
you
Now
Okay.
it's a long drive.
I've got beer, so you can always come along.
Now you're inviting
No,
people,
but,
okay?
but I have to just remind something. We're talking about this more, but quite specifically to the graduation, for instance, for the graduation code. But for other things, because I sometimes see some colleagues receiving some emails on the weekend and follow-ups already in the weekend, like you didn't respond yet.
Yeah, that's
Well,
true.
take
Yeah.
it easy. Take it easy,
Yeah.
and also like be mindful what you are asking, because sometimes you are having you're trying to solve something or stuck with something. Wait for them to reply. Also, try to Google it and try to see if you solve it yourself. Also, ask on Discord so other people can try to help.
Yeah.
But sometimes it happens like in the weekend with a follow-up later on the Sunday, like, oh, wait, are you there? Do you
Yeah.
check your emails, please?
Yeah.
That's actually a good point because that's something that we actually talk about as well with the all the teachers from the artist line. That sometimes we get emails on a Friday night at like midnight, and then also one on Saturday, and then Sunday like, yeah, well, why didn't you answer my email? Because
Yeah, please
have
be
a weekend,
respectful of
yeah.
people's times.
I mean, we
Yeah.
have a life.
Yeah.
I mean, we
And that
still have
also
a
goes
life.
both ways.
It
Yeah,
goes
both
both
ways.
ways.
Also respect the students' time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that goes both ways. That's a good point. Yeah, but it is something to keep in mind. So
It is.
so when you're done, right, you will gain 30 ECTS. Now there's a nice segue to the next topic. There you go.
Good point.
ECTS,
That was really bad.
Yeah. I
What
had
does
a
it stand for, Mark?
European Credit
transfer.
Something.
Transfer and
System.
accumulation system. That's actually
Dick
a
just
silent
Googled
A in there.
That's
I
Google
looked it
there.
up. I
That's
got it
Google.
on the other
Yeah.
screen.
Look at
ECTS.
you. ECTS. So yeah.
ECTS.
So it's actually now it's a little bit different, right? Because of all COVID.
Yeah.
So I think Evans, did you look it up?
Yeah, I did. Well, the first thing I have to say is that in any case, if you're unsure about your ECTS and how things will move on for next year, especially if in the first or second year, best things you do is you go first to a study coach. And also the man who knows everything about ECTS is Renee. So if you're unsure, not really know
Renee
exactly
Heinen,
what to
yeah.
do, or you kind of in this edge case situation, I really suggest you to go talk to him. So
Yeah.
the thing is,
Send him an email.
send him an email. Yeah. And
He
wait for
doesn't
him to
actually
reply.
respond. Yeah.
He's
He
quite
has
busy.
great email discipline.
Yeah. So I
does.
talked to him to get a better overview of, okay, what is that the students need? Because we have something called the Binding in Student Advice, the BSA. Normally in the regular school year, by the end of the first year, you have to have at least 48 credits. So if you don't have that by the end of the first year, then you are invited to leave and wait, and then you have to wait 1 year and then apply again and come back to the
Invited
That's-
to leave.
Yeah.
PC again. Yeah.
That
Oh,
doesn't
wow.
sound good. Don't do that.
No.
Well, but that's the thing. Like, so students that don't achieve 48 credits by the end of first year, normally they would have to go. And if they want to join the program again, they have to wait at least 1 year to apply again and return to the program. But due to Corona, the BSA was postponed, right? So then if you don't have the 48 credits by the end of first year, you can still get a positive by the BSA by the second year. But in any case, if you finish now the first year with 48 credits, you already get your positive study by the student advice, and you're kind of safe. If you don't, and if you are currently in the second year, so you're already been through the postponement of the BSA, then you either have to get all the 60 credits from the first year, so what we call the propedeutics,
Propedeutic.
yeah, or
Yeah.
a lot of people just call the P.
P,
So
yeah.
if you got the P, then you're good. Or you have to get 42 credits during that study year. So this accounts for the courses in the first year that you're redoing, the courses for the second year that you're doing now.
New
So
credits.
42. And
Yeah.
this is 42. The thing is, for now it's 42, but last year, if I'm not mistaken, was 48 again. So this can change from year to year. That's
Yeah.
what we say is specifically for what's coming now. So if you're currently in the second year, you're aiming for either getting your P or 42 credits in this study year, 2020-21. And then you can stay. Some people ask, like, okay, what if I get some of those credits, but I don't have the credits to go for my internship? Like the internship, let me check here. But the internship requires you to have the P and 48 credits from the second year. So it's quite a lot. If you don't have those things by the end of the second year, they are kind of, well, usually what would be requested of you, especially from talking to your study coach, is just focus on doing the redos you're lacking. So you're going to be like doing 1 year, just trying to compensate for the credits you're missing. You can see, for instance, you can have all 60 credits from the first year, but you have none from the second year. So the next school year, don't do an internship, do the courses. I think that will make way more sense.
Yeah. Redo
There are edge cases on that. For instance, it might be that you have nothing to do in the first semester, only reduce from the second semester. So it might be that you get some sort of dispensation from the examination board. But again, this is specific cases, so talk to your graduation, to your study coach on that.
Graduation coach, yeah.
This is for the internship, but for the minor, it depends on the minor. So some minors have specific requirements. For instance, minor skill, if I'm not mistaken, requires the P and 48 credits from the second year. But some other minors from also, if you're doing in other schools, in other programs, they might have different things. So it depends on what you're aiming for on that.
Valuable
Just waiting for
information.
this motor to go out
Yeah.
of my.
Yeah. Also,
Yeah.
if you're a little low on credits, but you're missing like one course, you can always talk with teachers first, and you can talk with exam committee. I think it's exam committee.
Yeah.
Because at some point it can be considered more of a what's it called, cordial, or like they just let you do it sometimes. You're missing maybe one course. It's like, okay,
Sometime.
is either a
Yeah.
big delay or you can go ahead, but do take care of the other thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also
yeah.
talk to
Talk
the
with
to the
people.
module leaders. Like, for instance, I give advanced tools by the end of the second year for the engineers, and I have a lot of students that by that time they kind of already just trying to do the redos and other things, so they don't go through the classes, or just try to take a look at the assignment to the manual. They don't talk to me, and it's often the case. I have one student that submits a lot of things wrong because it didn't understand the assignment properly, and they're like, "Can I graduate now?" No, sorry.
Yeah.
Talk to them.
No.
A
Yeah.
course never lasts, 1 day during which you have to do the assignment and submit it. You
Yeah.
have a lot of time to ask questions. Just don't wait until the last week to actually read the manual. Maybe do that the moment you get access to it on Blackboard. Just read the manual.
Also,
Solid advice.
as a small, pretty big tip, because graduation is so shrouded in confusion. If there's a manual that you want to read during your life in Saxon, is a graduation manual, because you need, like, I think it's 2 documents to apply for it. There's a time limit. You have to wait for, just read the thing as soon as it's available. If it's not available, bug people until it's available.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, a question.
And ask questions,
Yeah.
clarify.
So a question from Chat is that people actually don't read the manual in like the first week at latest. You'd be surprised how many people
Sarcasm.
read it. Right? It's I think half the people won't open it till like 2 days before the deadline. Like, okay, what do I actually need to do?
2 days
Oh.
before the redos.
Yeah,
Mark.
Before the redos.
And then they'll start
Yeah.
emailing you and
Yeah.
say, urgent, need a reply.
Yeah. What do I have to do?
No.
What do I have to do?
And then we
it's-
start with
yeah.
the yo mark.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, just to mention, because it has happened before, the manual is outdated with information from past years. At least for now that I know, confirm when is your time. The graduation coordinator is Hester van der End. Yeah, she, at least in person, I went to her in person when I was figuring these things out. Really nice. Just clarify with her. If the dates are wrong, ask her, send her an email, confirm. In graduation case, it really is better be safe than sorry, because for internship and the rest of the stuff, at least when I was there, section tends to be very lenient with you being late or whatever. With graduation, it's not just CMGT teachers, it's the committee, and then you're talking with people who are, everything's just a little bit more formal, a little bit more, deadlines matter more.
The final deadline is, you cannot
It's hardcore.
flunk that one. Yeah.
It's hardcore.
It's hardcore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's next Tuesday at noon, so
At
at
noon.
12.
Yeah.
If you're late on that, welcome to
instant
redo
fail.
land.
Yeah, it's instant fill. Yeah, that's one that's super harsh. We are like really harsh on that. For reasons why a lot of people like, oh, if I'm a little bit later, like an hour, it's fine. And then that 1 hour becomes like a day. Then 2 weeks later, like, yo, can I still hand it in? No, it's like that date. If not, redo. 5 months later, sucks to be you. Or 3 months later, something like that.
Yeah. Graduation is a bit different in sense from every other course in section, where it's just that extra formality, that extra things need to be done as it is said, explicitly said, makes it hard if you're not used to.
Hey, but honestly, we're talking about deadlines. If you actually needed those 30 extra minutes, then I would wonder, what have you been doing over the past 5 months?
Indeed.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Just hand it in a day early. You'll be done
the
a
Monday.
day early.
Monday. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, go ahead, Lucia.
Yeah.
To continue what Rodrigo was saying, and also the chat was complaining about outdated manuals. I did hear from, I think, Mark, that's something that you guys are looking to improve, the manuals, because sometimes they are a mess.
Yeah,
not just the fact that they are outdated, but the language is.
Yeah,
it's like it's copy pasted from the teaching documents that you guys make to prove that the course is useful, but that language doesn't really get across well to students, and we're like, what? I don't get it.
It's an acquired taste. It's an acquired taste, to be fair.
I know.
Yeah. May I do a call right here? May I call on all students if you see any errors in manuals, anything that doesn't make sense, point it out to your teacher.
Yeah. Let us know.
Make it a meme.
It also gives us an idea if some people actually read it or not, right?
It's helpful to
know. Help us improve this, and we will be improving it.
Help yourself and clarify the things. Don't make mistakes because the mail was wrong.
Yeah.
It's happened.
Looking at the chat, right? Yeah, people are sloppy with the manuals. That there are things in there that
wow! That was really a thing. We got to do this before sending to the students. Oh wow!
Yeah.
What?
I saw it as well. It's like, ouch, that's painful.
I see that quite often, honestly.
It's painful. It's
not in my manuals.
Sloppy. Yeah. But let us know so then we can talk to the person like, hey, you kind of fucked up a little bit, so keep that in mind. But the manuals also have the thing in there called the rubrics. So next segue to the last topic. Nice, smooth, right? Did you see that? That was smooth.
Very nice.
Which is of course the grading and how we grade. Now this is actually a controversial topic, probably not, but this is an interesting one.
We'll see. Why is it controversial?
I don't know, because some people don't agree how we grade maybe. I mean, it's also a little bit different, right? For the line. So if an engineer, the way you grade is probably different than as an artist. Oh, I see. Even like, what? No, it's not.
No. Well, the thing
kinda, yeah.
The popular opinion is that engineers get graded more harshly or something. I think it's more that like art is more interpretable or something.
But that's
Yeah.
wrong. But that's wrong. Like the rubrics should not be open for interpretation.
Yep.
So for instance, what I try
Exactly.
to
They are.
what I try to write my rubrics, for instance, for C++ in advanced tools, I try to write it in the way that if you read it, you know, like there's no like if there is a little bit of room to, for instance, in C++, there's something about using const, like your proper usage of const. So this can be a little bit like,
Obviously.
yeah, but for instance, you can miss a here and there, but this is something I discuss in class. Like, okay, if you're doing this or using it like this and you miss one case or two, it's fine. But you understand how you should be using const properly.
Yeah.
But being open for interpretation, then you have the issue we were discussing before. This is you can have two teachers grading you differently, and that's a problem.
Yeah, but there's also a
Yeah.
problem, right? Because especially for the artists, sometimes you want to grade something on how it looks. So the look and feel, the artistic, it's
That's
sometimes
subjective.
it is right, but that's also what's making it so difficult. I mean, if you just do like check boxes for artists, like yeah, so it's okay. There's camera check.
Concept art kind
It's
of does
horrible.
that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's,
then you end up giving
Mm-hmm.
10s to stuff that just meets the criteria. It's not actually good art, which, you know, is
No.
I see it as, yeah, it's, well, what can you do? You know, you got to grade the
Yeah.
things.
But
it's
on
super
the other
difficult.
hand, is like, you have to, well, the thing is how we do the rubrics. Like, there's a very long process that I cannot say that everyone follows as they should. But the idea is we have what we call the box A, the body of knowledge and skills and attitudes, and every course is gonna assign some of the things in the box. So, for instance, in C++, you have to learn C++ on it as part of our box. And also, we have the competencies, the 12 competencies for the graduation, and we have the learning goals. So, what we expect you to learn during the course. So we make the rubrics in a way that the rubrics make sure that you achieve the learning goals and that the learning goals are connected to the competencies we expect there. For instance, in C++, technical knowledge, it's something there clearly, and also that it is teaching you C++. So all those things need to be connected. So, for instance, for concept art, and I don't know, I haven't read the manual. You have to take a look at the learning goals and see if the rubrics match what you expect from the learning goals. If it says that you can make concept art, like or based on idea, you can create concepts, and the rubrics allow you to do that, and you did that, even though the art is not the best one, then I would say the rubrics are fine. And if you're getting a good grade for that, it's also fine. Doesn't mean you're gonna get a job, but it means that you've learned what you should have learned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem, however, with the graduation rubrics, in my opinion, is that they are based on the 12 competencies of CMGT. For anyone who's watching the stream, if you haven't heard what the 12 competencies are, is because they are generally not really introduced to you or used during every other year of section. Maybe I think there's one other course. I don't know if it was SSS or if it was the internship. They use half of them. So when you get to
SSS.
graduation, okay.
Oh.
So when you get to graduation, you're very lost because you've never seen these things and you're not super sure on how to fulfill them, and you have to learn that during graduation. It's
My
a
favorite
problem of
thing-
introducing these things.
My favorite thing about introducing those things, especially, you know, for the graduation. So we are actually only talking about the graduation. Those rubrics are also on the company assessment. Try making your company supervisor read those things and make them like put the knowledge into their head of what those rubrics mean, because they don't understand.
I
But
had
to
to
be
explain
fair-
it
really
to my
confusing.
company coach,
Yep.
who, like walk them through what section tries to mean through these things for them to actually know what it was.
And
Yeah.
a company
But
coach
to
like
be
that
fair-
and not understanding what I had to
Yeah.
fill in for my students.
Yeah, but to be fair, like I think Ruben improved a lot on the grading for the internship. Like the one we
That
use
is
now,
true.
it's very clear, very concise. So if they of course they cannot understand like a wording, a phrasing, or something like that. But I receive way less doubts about it now than I used to with the old one.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, but it's also difficult, right? Making a good rubrics is actually really difficult because it's also a question like
We
how
know your
do you
job
want?
is hard.
It's not that hard.
Well,
It's just
let's
it
not
just
debate
needs
that.
a big
Let's not
brain, right? Big brain time when you create one. It's actually like, okay, like how do you want to grade it? From which angle do you want to approach this? And it's like, does it match the box? Does it match the competencies? So it is sometimes difficult, but sometimes, like I said before as well, we want to create like artists that are actually good, but good is also a matter of opinion. So I mean, what you think is good art, I might think that's horrible. So
Yeah, indeed.
that's also like something that you also want to tell people, like, yeah, you're not a good artist, or like you're absolutely amazing. So, and then those rubrics, you can't really do that, but you also want to do that. So it's
Yeah.
finding that sweet balance between
It's hard. It's very hard.
subjective and actually objective.
I think what
criteria.
Ivan said. Sorry, go on.
I'm gonna deviate a little bit. So
Oh,
I'm gonna
okay.
continue.
Just quickly, I think what Ivan said about the fact that the rubrics, reflect the learning goals and not whether you're employable or not. That's the key here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think in a sense, and a lot of students see that, like for instance, I've seen students that said, for instance, oh, I passed this course or passed that one, but I know I still have to improve. Like they might have passed with a 5.5, and they know that they have to step this up for the internship or graduation, and it's kind of part of their road to improve on those things. But I think in the rubrics, when it starts to get subjective, it's well, of course, it's going to be a problem, especially in projects, for instance.
Yeah.
I remember we had a project in the project. I think one of the rubrics said something about being fun, and I said, "Yeah, I had fun with this game." But my colleague that was with me, they said, "I think it was very boring." Like, no, but for me it was fun.
Yeah,
For me it's fun, and I would mark it as fun. Like, I don't know what you think. I don't care.
And there was also one, I think, in the first project years ago, where you could give points for the wow
factor.
Yeah, that's like it's impossible to actually like to grade that objectively. Like, yeah, I don't think it's wow.
Yeah.
Right? Do you? Yeah, I do. Okay, and then why? Well, yeah, because I don't know. So it's
What's a
impossible.
wow factor, though?
Yeah, it
One-
is.
one
what's
other-
alpha factor,
Wow.
yeah.
One other issue with the rubrics for graduation with the competencies, and this is, I don't know who has the blame there. I'm not sure if anyone has the blame there, but some of the things that you get assessed on are not necessarily things that you will be able to do during graduation. One of the competencies has to do with leadership skills, I believe.
Yeah, but I
If
think
you
you had the
are-
old one. I think
Yeah,
you had
get
the old one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
we had already a
that
new one that
happened-
improves on that.
Okay, that happened to me where I had to.
Seems
One of
like-
the things was leadership skills, and you're an intern, and you're in a company. You're at the bottom of at the bottom of everything.
Also,
Depending on what you're doing, right? Sometimes you can have some more agency towards it, but sometimes you don't.
You're
So you
making me
cannot
want
show.
to.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Yeah,
cannot show growth there.
I remember.
So it's
I
hard to
know
prove
what you're
that.
talking about.
Yeah.
Like one of the rubrics had in the excellent part saying that you act as some sort of leader for the group and so on.
Yeah.
But that was indeed like a problem. Like not everyone will go through this, or will have the opportunity to go through this. And I even remember I had a really good engineering student that did the graduation with me. That he was indeed with righteousness, like mad about that because if so I can never get a 10 with this. With the assignment I had.
Yep.
I said, yeah, unfortunately, because of the grading, like the rubric, I don't think you can. But
And that's the same now as well, right? With the one about ethics.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, the one about ethics. So
Yeah,
I have a lot
you
to
were
say.
very ethical.
yeah, that's it. For instance, again, this one is also very situational. I had students that had something that were clearly unethical there. So they discussed about doing something that was like, wait a second, like you should not be doing this.
Mhm.
And was no mention of that, so I would fail on that aspect.
Yeah.
But for instance, I think Paul was discussing about this should be just a pre-requirement. So it's not a rubric that you get sufficient good. It's just like if it was ethical or not,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, a couple of years ago, I had this girl who was making artwork for a game that was about gambling, hardcore gambling, and it was like, yeah, how can we get whales to give us more money? So I asked like, so do you think this is ethical? She's like, yes. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Done. I'm done. So yeah, you answer my question. I mean, Well, I mean, we could talk about it, right? If it's that it or not, but she thought it was actually ethical. So then, who am I to judge if it's not ethical or not?
Interesting.
Well, you could ask her for a reasoning behind
you-
this.
Yeah.
She's like money.
You actually changed
She
it.
said
It doesn't
money.
say leadership
All
anymore.
right.
Yeah.
So it's not ethics.
No,
it's
there's
about
no-
income.
The current rubric is different from the one I think Rodrigo defended.
Yeah. I just wanted to check.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, don't worry. It's not
Yeah.
there anymore. And
Yeah.
also,
So-
again, but there are some discussions still on the rubric. Like Rodrigo said about something to blame. I would say all of us involved in the graduation are to blame because we have a saying on that. And we had some meetings to discuss those things, including for the new one
Yeah.
and including for probably newer ones, because we're constantly trying to improve on that and make it that it's feasible for the students. And one of the things we ask quite often, and recently we had a meeting about that, and I remember discussing that with Paul again, is like some of those things not everyone would be able to do during the graduation. So,
Yep.
like for instance, the leadership, or if you're in a multidisciplinary team, it might be that you just stuck with a lot of engineers together. So, yeah, one of them
Yeah.
actually programs a UI. I was like, no.
So I've got a question for chat. Do you think that the way we do it right now, the grading is actually fair?
Man, we've been
Depends on
complaining
the
about
use.
grading for 45 minutes. What do you think they'll answer?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Like, do they think it's actually how we do this actually a fair process? All of them.
I wonder what the
Yeah,
correlation
well-
between their answers and their grade levels will be.
Depends on
Well-
so depends on the context and depends on the subject. Yeah.
Anecdotal experience here, me and some students who I think have all done pretty well in passing subjects and gotten good grades overall. We were asked to write the student chapter in the whatever feedback yearly thing that Saxion does.
Yeah.
They also still said that the grading could use some work because the rubrics are unclear, and then it's not clear why they get those grades for projects, especially because communication between teachers on the same project can be quite bad, and then they don't understand why they end up with a grade at the end because
Yeah.
they get conflicting feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
putting that out there,
It's a good point.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
the thing,
this,
true.
this is also something that we listen to, right? We actually absorb your feedback because it's actually
They do,
important.
they
I
do.
mean, because it should be fair, right? The way we grade
Yep.
should be fair. And I can think it's fair, but if like everybody else thinks it's really unfair, then maybe I should change the way I look at how I grade stuff. So let's have a look at chat. I think the main issue I have sometimes with the rubrics, teachers have very different ways of
Yeah.
interpreting the. Yeah.
Well, I have
Yes.
to say, for instance, that we have like not weekly, but we are doing also meetings about the rubrics, about the manual. And I heard the engineer manuals are quite good, actually.
Mhm.
Have to say.
Look at you
Have to
tooting
say.
your own horn. Go.
No, because I saw something about the rubrics. But one thing that we try discussing among us is trying to avoid those things about not being vague. But at the same time, I would say in our case, it's kind of easier in a sense to be very objective on checking things, so it helps to make
It
the grade.
helps.
Yeah.
It
But
makes it
I
easier.
noticed this also in Project Show Off that some of the rubrics kind of expect the students to be doing kind of like both engineers, for instance, to be doing the same thing, or the artists to be doing the same things to get the good grade. And I also agree that this is quite odd.
Yeah. I mean, what examples? Well, right. For example, 3D animation. We talk about timing of your animation. That's also very subjective because what I think is a good timing, Yuri might think is a bad timing. But it is something that's actually really important to actually look at. But then, how can you look at something like that objectively? Like, yeah, do you think that this timing is good? I think it feels good, but Yuri might think it's bad. Lucy thinks like it's okay. It's like so it's really difficult to actually be fair, and especially as well. I think Yuri can also talk about it as well for the pro line. It's also difficult probably to be very objective about it. Because, for example, for giving giving a presentation, how do you grade someone's presentation?
You count how many times they got stuck.
Fail.
Yeah, 1, 2.
Okay, well, you can quit right here if you want to. That's a good question.
Yeah,
That's a good
pro line
question.
manuals are the king of vagueness.
You want me to answer that question, or was it?
Yeah, try it.
hypothetical
Yeah, no.
question?
I mean,
What's pro line?
that's the soft skills courses.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Presentation,
Like
communication skills,
communication,
skills.
presentation. Yeah, yeah.
research.
Well, for instance, research, like it is so hard. Like I don't think the rubrics are necessarily bad, but in a sense, it's also so hard to kind of say this is good research. I think the rubrics actually kind of do a good job there to try to be about the arguments, if the arguments in the right order and so on. But still, it's
And are
hard.
the arguments convincing?
Yeah,
And that right there is putting subjectivity back
yeah,
in something
100%.
what you're trying to make objective.
yeah.
Yeah,
The problem is,
It's super
particularly with
hard.
that course, was that we were looking at particular numerical values. How many external sources have you used? If you used more than 8 but fewer than 15 external sources, you're getting a good grade. If you got more than 15 sources,
Yeah.
well, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
These
yeah.
students have read the rubric. They're going to pad their sources, right?
Yeah, 100 of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Super
by the way,
excellent.
another thing on that, and this is not necessarily from making the rubrics, but I think it's something that we try to do as part of the ACT exam policy, is that the rubrics would actually mean like sufficient, good, and excellent should not be extra work. Like good should not be extra work from sufficient. Excellent should not be extra work from good. They should kind of be somehow like
Excuse-based,
just
yeah.
making it better. So like sufficient as you did it, like whatever. Good, you for instance, let's talk about code. That is an easier example for me. But sufficient as like you just wrote the code. Good as you had like a better architecture for that, so you put thought on that. And the excellent is that it's extensible also. So it is not necessarily doing more one on top of the other. It's just that you already from the start did the best one and got directly to the excellent. And a lot of rubrics are also super hard to achieve something like that.
Yeah. So one person in chat says maybe I'm confusing design with art, but I took almost market ready design, kind of as has to look visually appealing. So good art. That's also a thing, right? Also, like, how do you define when something is like almost market ready?
I wanted to ask. There are a lot of things there, and I don't know if you
I
if that's
honestly
in the
have no
scope
idea.
of the course, whatever the course is, because I
But
didn't
honestly,
have course.
I have no idea. But also, like, it has to look visually appealing. Define appealing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know, right? If it's like
Yeah, that's where
hentai,
we get back to
looks
the
nice.
original process
you can
discussion.
maybe
yeah,
If you stuck with the design thinking methodology, then you can say, hey, this is the problem we're trying to solve. This is the target audience we're trying to solve it with. And we've done our due diligence. We know everything there is to know about this target audience. These are their requirements. And my solution is meeting those requirements. And it doesn't matter if it's not appealing to you as a teacher because you're not in the target audience. It appeals to the target audience.
But then the pitfall you get
I've
with that.
heard some students in the past, not right now, had issues with exactly that argument and having issues with passing with exactly that argument.
Well,
Hopefully, it's not that way anymore.
I think the
But
well,
pitfall you
students
get
also
with
use
that.
that. Sorry.
so one at a
Oh,
time.
No, just saying, like the pitfall you get with this kind of approaches also is that you have the tendency then to ask them to make some sort of documents or presentations to justify the choices,
Yeah.
and then you create documents that you cannot assess in a half a day, like you said.
Yeah.
So then you make
And
the
nobody
grading,
likes writing that stuff either.
and no one
Design
likes
does-
to read
yeah.
them either.
Design justification document. Yeah, it's like it's a
Yeah.
Bible. Well, and let me just check chat. There are teachers that grade projects based on their interest.
Yeah, that's also a big, huge
That's a
issue
Yeah.
that
issue.
has to be solved
It
with the
shouldn't happen.
rubrics.
Yeah, it shouldn't happen. But yeah, it
But
does
it's
happen.
happened.
Yeah, and that's
It's
bad.
happened.
And we know, and that's something that we're working on. Yeah.
But still, but this is a good point, and this is something we have to discuss also internally, because I've been just into a situation which we were discussing the rubric, and someone said, "Yeah, but this is not good." But yeah, but this is not in this rubric. So I had situations which like, yeah, I don't care if you didn't like this. The rubric is not about that, so you cannot use this as an argument to reduce a
Yeah.
grade or something, because the rubric is exactly about these points.
Yeah.
So it's something that you try to solve through in the rubrics, but also with the people discussing like this is what this means. In some courses I've been through this year, we had like calibrations also to try to get and understand like, okay, we all kind of mean this when we're discussing that, or that's what we expect and so on.
Yeah. So in chat as well, like point is that the new formats for manuals are a good step, but it starts with the personnel executing it, and that's Yeah, that's the core of your argument.
But
And then I got another question, all right? And I
Yeah.
understand that complaining is fun because we've been complaining for almost an hour now, right? So we
Oh,
have
more
no
than that,
complaints
actually.
from us teachers towards the students, and we complained about bad student behavior, and then we turned it around, right? And I dug my own grave, right? But so we're a long way in. Perhaps we should talk about all the things that are pretty cool about CMGT and Enschede. Because I gotta tell you, I've been working here for a little over a year. I've been at the office 3 times now, and I met a couple people, and
Yeah.
it's been awesome. No, seriously, it's been
Yes.
awesome, and it's kind of weird, right, to say
Yeah.
it's awesome if you haven't really been there. But I have no regrets. So, how about you, Rodrigo? Did you have any regrets for studying CMGT with your
Yes.
current body of knowledge?
Here
If
it
you had a
comes.
time machine, yeah, I heard your answer. But I want to hear it
Did
just
I
in your
have
version,
regrets?
young
Yes,
man.
but I did enjoy my time, and I think there were a lot of things that were great. At least for me, for my case, it worked out well. Particularly the things that I liked most about the study in more times, because I can speak for the other years. Teachers, it's been great. The relation with the teachers is pretty open for the most part. For most teachers, I mean, it's pretty open, somewhat, cordial, or like friend-like. Is great.
Yep.
Approachability, and a focus on, thanks to the redo system, I actually kind of like that. In a bunch of courses, there's more of a focus on you learning than you passing. Because of the redo system, you can, in some cases, focus on doing it right, doing it at your own pace, and making it work for you, and actually making it good, and so you can learn, than just, holy crap, I need to pass these things. So those are the 2 things that I've liked the most, I think. That, and having the projects, University of Applied Sciences, it's great. Other
Cool.
regrets, though, in 3rd year and 4th year, you really are let off hand, and it feels like a different study because you're fooling around, and then you start regretting things like, why am I still in this study? That said, the opportunity to do the internship and graduation at a company, invaluable. They're great.
It's a good point that you actually make. I think there's actually something that we're planning on fixing, at least working on. For example, there's a thing now called home groups, right? That's something that we probably want to do for the 3rd or 4th year, so that you at least have some feeling of a community. Because right now it's like, yeah, go, and you're like, I'm all alone. What do I do? So it's helpful to have like some form of like base that you can actually get back to. So like this group of people that you connect to, like your class almost, but not your class, but just a group of people.
We gotta worry not to turn this back into what we
No,
need
I'm
to
not.
improve, all right?
No,
Because
I'm just
Rodrigo just
I'm
gave
just
a bunch
playing
of
out.
compliments, and what Mark is saying, thank you, and we'll make it even better.
Yeah.
How about
will
you,
do.
Lucia?
Yeah.
You're almost done.
But to be
Do you have any regrets?
Can we skip me?
Fair enough.
but for instance,
Sounds like she had regrets.
you already
What's that?
started now, right? You already started, like, you were still 2019, 20? No, you started exactly 2020, 2021, right?
I started in March 2020.
Yeah.
March
So it's
2020.
2019,
19, 20 then.
Yeah.
Yeah, not exactly in lectures, but I started. Okay, so I started on the beginning of 18, 19, and one thing I can, but like we're talking about improvements, but one thing that I've been seeing us doing since then, and I've been also trying to do my part, is with constantly trying to improve. So that's something we are. So there are a lot of things that I see some students complaining from the 3rd and 4th year that I know we already solved. That they are not problems anymore, and that we already are improving all those things. So I think that's great. It motivates me quite well, because I see that as we learn and we get aware of things are not doing great, we are trying already to see how we can improve them.
Yeah. So Lucy, something positive. Let's go. Let's go.
Okay.
He's like, no, please don't do it.
No, honestly, I did enjoy the projects quite a lot. They're a great opportunity to build up those skills. I don't know if they're structured in the best way possible, because there is only so much you can do in a 2-week project. But the project-based approach that we have in our study is good for our industry specifically, because So personally, I did think quite a lot after I came to Saxon. Maybe I should have gone into a research university instead or something. But for our industry, I think it's very valuable because you will be working on projects all along.
Yeah.
Yeah, most
And I
likely.
do like the teachers. Some of the
Aw.
teachers. Generally, I do like the teachers. I do think some teachers could improve certain things, but of course, the people here are excluded from this generalization. You guys
She just wants
you're
to pass a
super
graduation.
awesome.
She just wants to pass a graduation.
No, but I'm also kind of no, because none of you are grading me, so it doesn't matter. I can roast you the next second if it makes you feel better.
No.
But the chat was also saying that like some of the teachers are actually really passionate about what they teach, and it shows, and it's great. It's really nice. Even programming teachers are passionate about art, like Evans or Hans, and that's really nice to see.
True.
Because even though they never taught me anything, I can still talk to them and connect over something, and it's cool.
Aw.
Cool.
And
You're cool people.
And I think that's the perfect high note to do the last announcement
Yeah.
today.
Okay. Can
It's gonna be fun, right? So we're gonna do one more podcast this school year, and that's gonna be like a CMGT rewind recap of the entire school year, so people can submit their work if they want to, and then we can do like a vote on it, like a popular vote. I mean, the details will be announced later on.
Yeah.
But I think it should also be fun just to look back at the year, and hopefully we can just have like people just like pop in the podcast, say something, something positive, of course. I'm just looking at chat right now. Something positive. And if we're just gonna have a lot of people over here, and just we're gonna have like the last podcast before the school year ends, which is already in 4 weeks.
Yeah, kind of like yeah, we're still planning that. Like I was discussing with Mark when we thought about a lot of categories to submit work. I saw some people saying, oh, have not to submit, but we thought about things with the macarona. So the comfiest macarona, the strongest PC, also
Awesome battle station,
awesome battle station, best mark, these kind of things that we're gonna add at the categories, so you can submit your things, and if you want to, and we have enough people submitted
Teachers
there.
submit things too.
Of course you can.
Yeah, everyone can submit.
Everyone, literally everyone. We will just throw it on a pile, and then we just have this public voting. Because we're also thinking about doing the project for the second years. Like there's going to be this tournament again for the projects of the second years. So maybe we can do like the finals live during the podcast. So we can have like this live stream of the revelation of the winners of the second year project. Maybe someone here has like this awesome voice that they could do like an esports announcer.
We could do like one of the categories as best voice. So you have to
we should
send
do
someone. You send your
yeah,
voice.
like a deep voice. Hey guys.
Yeah, hey guys.
I know someone in the first year.
Ooh.
Mark, I have a very specific request.
Okay.
Can we bring back that video of you in the G building with the song
Yes.
playing, please?
I still have it.
I think it's very suitable for Corona.
It is.
I will. I think it's still even on the Facebooks. That
I think so.
No one use anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I can bring it back. So that's something that will be further announced in the near future. Because I think it's fun that we just close the year with on a high note, and just have some drinks. Because I think we should also advise alcohol during that podcast.
Hell yeah.
You didn't hear that. This is not official sexual communication.
This is action. Please turn off your ears. Yeah, because also we were discussing like a lot of really cool stuff were made during the year from the first and second years, and also including the game jam, including things from game design. I know a lot of students were like a little bit unhappy with the Flow Lab, but I at least count from my two classes from designers like about 20 games that were really cool and different that I haven't seen the previous year, thanks to Flow Lab.
Yeah.
So I think there are a lot of cool stuff that we can vote, see what everyone did, get together on that.
Best poster, trailers, you name it.
Most unreadable code.
Most unreadable code.
That is actually simple.
Worst paper written. We can do that as well.
Yeah.
Like the most spelling mistakes. We can have a winner on that as well. No, but we'll announce that soon once we get organized. But
yeah, we want to, like I was discussing with Mark about creating some other things and then making it available so you can submit your work. Thinking about the date also that we give everyone at least about I don't know 2 weeks to check
Yeah.
and vote and check what they want.
Yeah, and I think it would also be nice if maybe if we could get some more teachers on here to say their last farewell before the summer starts. Wow, that sounded really dramatic. It sounded too dramatic, but maybe we can have people back here, like Yuri coming back to say a couple of words, or just chat a little bit. Same for other teachers, Max, Alejandro. That would be awesome if they could also pop back in and just say like, "Hey guys."
Hey guys.
That's a very bad impression of a teacher.
Hey guys, that's all.
Yeah, goodbye forever. At least, yeah, some people are actually leaving forever. Maybe we can get them on here as well to give a nice farewell speech. But
Yeah,
we'll have to see for now.
let's not overpromise. Let's not.
No,
overpromise.
no.
What we can say is that something's going to go on.
And it's gonna be.
Let's
fun.
keep it vague as the manual.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Vegas.
Just like the manuals.
I would like to add something. I know this is pretty terrible timing, but
for it.
before this ends, I feel like I need to, based on my experience, a couple tips. I had a pretty
did Mark-
terrible. So what?
Sorry, I thought that the stream has gone off.
no, it's not. No,
No.
not yet. No.
I had a miserable experience during graduation. I'm not blaming it on anyone but myself and everything that went down. I oftentimes call my graduation and damage control instead of what it actually was.
Oof.
The two tips are, please, if you as an engineer, if you have none or very little experience in netcode, it is really not a great idea to do your graduation in netcode. Holy crap, that's... If you've heard it before, you've heard it before. It's real. It sucks. Don't do it on that. The other one is... This one's actually applicable for everything. Talk with people. Talk with people a lot. Your graduation experience is not to scare you or anything, but it varies a lot. In some cases, it can be very good for some people. In some cases, it can be pretty bad. I know a couple of people who have gone through bad graduations, me included. Talk to your coach, talk to your company, figure out how you can make things work. That's a big part of graduation. If things go bad, you will have to deal with that often. So if things fail, just assess the situation, figure how you can go from there. What's the best things you can do? And the best things, by all means, just keep going. If there's anything you can do, just keep going. I had a very terrible graduation. Just keep going and talk with people.
Yeah.
But it should be fine. You should be fine.
I mean, you made it, right? You are now actually working
yeah.
in the industry.
If there's one thing that is great about graduation is that when you're done, such a weight off your shoulders is amazing. And then you start working and you realize, wow, this is easy because you can only work normal, and then it's so much easier. Holy crap.
Yeah. Awesome.
But yeah.
Good advice. Maybe Lucy also wants to get some last tips. Put her on the spot there. It's like,
She's gonna say, do your best.
Do your best.
Yeah, do your best.
Bestest. Yuri maybe has some tips. Oh, sorry.
Read the fucking manual.
That's a good tip.
Yeah.
That's a good tip.
Good one. Good one.
Maybe Yuri has some last tips for people here as well.
Last tips for people here as well. Go eat some ice cream. It's terribly hot in this room. I hope
it
you're
is.
doing better than I am.
I agree, because I think it's actually time for a nice cold Corona, which is sitting in the fridge. So,
Wow.
thank you all for the guests tonight. Very much appreciated. I don't know about you, but I had a lot of fun. It's very enjoyable.
Thank you for
again.
hosting.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're welcome.
Thank you for inviting.
And then next we'll announce it in the near future when to go there. So,
Thank you all for coming. Thank you all. For
Thank
See
you.
you later, guys. Bye-bye.
have a nice weekend.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.